WLFE Digital Network is now on digital television. If you're into ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs, and the creepy, then WLFE has a TV channel for you, Paranormal View. Watch all of your favorite WLFE video talk shows on one channel. Shows like Paratalk Radio, Step Into the Paranormal, Skeptical Help Bar, The Creepy Parlor, and more. Looking for something else? Do you support the LGBTQ plus community? WLFE has brought all of their LGBTQ shows like Inside the Drag Closet, Everything Yet Nothing, Across the Pond, and Rainbow Soul all into one place. A new TV channel called LGBTQ Friends. The third channel is Variety Unlimited. Here you'll find a wide variety of talk shows you know and love, like Just Cindy, Card Pulls and Coffee, Real Talk with Nom, The Bipolar DM, Meet the Author, and Movie Review 5. The best part of watching these shows is that they're all available to watch at one location, one website, WLFE-DB.com.
You are listening to WLFE-DBradio.com, where our shows are your shows.
Listen to the WLFE-DB podcast, available on Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Check out shows like Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and Step Into the Paranormal. Now, on to your favorite podcast app.
This is Dominic Santasero with Real Talk with Dom. You are listening to WLFE-DBradio.com, where our shows are your shows.
Welcome to Modern Femme-ily with your host and resident lesbian, Cassie. Join her and our resident LGBTQIA plus ally, Molly, as they talk to women of all walks of life to discuss everyday matters of a woman's world. Join these lovely beauties every Friday at 8 p.m. to talk about hot topics, sensitive topics, but most of all, the real topics.
Hello, my lovely humans. How are you? I've missed you. We had to skip another week, but if you looked on our Facebook page, you see why. No secrets were given that night because somebody watches the show that's not allowed to see what we picked up. So I'm going to make my intro very quick because I cannot wait for Molly and I to get to our special guest. We are so excited to have her on the show. But hello, my name is Cassie. If you are new here, I am the resident lesbian and host of Modern Femme-ily. So welcome if you are new. Hello again if you are returning. We are so glad to have you. If you want to check us out, you can check us out on all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can also listen where you can find podcasts because we turn our interactive podcast into something you can listen to as well. So on the go, at the gym, wherever you may be, feel free to check us out there as well. But you could also find us on our network, our WLFE-DB radio social media. You can find us there and on the LGBTQIA plus Friends network because we do fall under that category. And then, as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We love interacting with everyone, so please feel free. If you have questions, comments, you can also email us as well. modernfemme-ily@gmail.com for show ideas, questions, comments you may not feel comfortable putting in our chat. So please feel free, send them over. We love to interact. But real quick, may look like a lady, but sometimes some of my favorite words have 4 little letters. So just give a fair warning, we may have adult content. So just make sure that now is your time to lock those kiddos in the bathroom, or my favorite choice, lock yourself in the bathroom, grab your favorite mocktail or cocktail and join us for the next hour as we talk about happiness and being happy and what that means. So I'm going to bring out Molly real quick, and then she can say hello, and then we are going to jump right in because we can't help ourselves. So Molly, you ready to come out and say hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Yes. Hi. We're back. Yes, last week we went and picked up my wedding dress.
Yay.
Oh, and also my nightly train's coming. So
Woot woot.
woot woot. Of course.
So yeah. So are you ready to jump right in?
I am. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I cannot wait. So Pamela, give us a thumbs up from backstage if you're ready to join us. I think she can hear me. We're gonna bring her in. Might be a surprise.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi there.
Hi,
Hi.
Pamela. So everybody who is not familiar, I know Pamela shared this, Hot Mess Express with her tribe and, shared it with everybody there. So if you are new and following because of Pamela, welcome. We are so happy to have you. And if you're not familiar with Pamela, she's going to tell us all about herself tonight because we're women talking to women from all walks of life. So, Pamela, why don't you start us out by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, okay, so you guys invited me on because it's Happiness Happens Month, and it's our 21st Happiness Happens Month. So we've been doing the happiness thing for a while. That feels like my child, sort of, because it's actually legally able to drink this year since we're 21. But it's actually the 22nd Happiness Happens Day, so that's what kicked things off. We actually were just a day, and people were a little unhappy because they might not have been able to celebrate next year. I'm like, well, we'll just make it the whole month. So if that day doesn't work for you, pick any day in August that makes you happy and celebrate happiness. And then now we actually have people who celebrate all 31 days. So I've just been doing, happiness stuff for a long time. So that's the society really started back. You guys are, I'm more mature than you guys. So the society started when y'all were probably in grade school. I'm assuming you were born, but when y'all were probably in grade school. So we started on the height of the Jerry Springer of everybody was talking about what was wrong.
Yeah.
And at some point I kind of said, we're all the happy people. Like they kind of need their own tribe. We weren't using that word at the time, but they kind of need their own tribe because sometimes you're just, I'm a mostly happy person. I'm certainly not happy all the time. And that's not even healthy, but I'm a mostly happy person. So I thought it'd be a great idea for an essay. I came up with this idea for the Society of Happy People. I was working in the self-help field at the time. I was teaching empowerment workshops and just different things. And so that's sort of how the society started. We started with this simple question, are you happier than you admit you are? And that's got to the point about what are you talking about? So that's sort of still, but we do a lot of different things, but that's been our theme throughout the whole 20 years. We want people talking more about their happy moments, and to talk about them, you have to notice them. So we came up with 31 types of happiness. So and they're like, oh, maybe I'm not so happy. But usually when they go through that 31 types of happiness, they discover they had a few more happy moments in the past 30 minutes or past hour or past half hour or 2 days or whatever length of time we're counting them for. And so that's what the society is. Then about me, I'm a trainer. I do motivational speaking and training, and obviously kind of on topics that center around being happier at work. And in fact, my book is called Practical Happiness. So the theme is practical happiness at work. So we try to help people bring happy their jobs.
Okay.
And help leaders lead happier teams.
That's really cool.
Absolutely.
So the Society of Happy People, for those that you don't know, it was founded in 1999 or 1998, correct?
Yeah.
So it's been around a long time. You said 21 years. So that's really cool.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, this month has been celebrated.
21
years for this month. And then we actually have Hunt for Happiness Week in January. If you want to talk more about happiness, it's Hunt for Happiness Week in January, and that'll be 21 years old. Is coming up January, so 8 years old. So we were the first happiness holidays. Now there's some others, but we actually started the first happiness holidays.
That's incredible.
And there's 3 of them. There's the 3 happiness holidays or the happiness month, which is August, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Sorry. I think it's so cool. Then you have your 31 days, or you have 31 happiness moments. And I was reading on your website. I just have a question before I get into my actual questions about counting your happiness. What is that?
Well, our theme, every year we pick a different theme. So this year we picked the theme, Count Your Happy. And in part because we're actually just at a time with the pandemic and facing pandemic and just different things like that. We wanted to keep it pretty simple and not do something like super complicated. So we're just trying to challenge people. So the first week of August, we actually gave you something to count. So like we gave you your favorite, the number of times you see your favorite color, because we know that when you see your favorite, good endorphins that kick off in your brain. Or so if you see your favorite, like if a beach is your favorite place and you just see a picture of a beach, you automatically become just a little bit happier. So we wanted people to count things like that, count the number of times you see an emoji. Some people actually messaged me that they kept messaging me that they had too many to count. But that's like a wonderful thing. Like you're noticing them to the point that you can't count them. I saw an abundance of emojis. So we gave them that, and then we moved into Happiness Happens Day, which we actually do a pink lemonade toast. So we kind of just do a cheers toast for that. And then we've kind of moved into the next phase has been like Raise Your Vibe, the Raise Your Vibe phase. So that's where we had people kind of sign up for the Raise Your Vibe, which is a free challenge. It's 5 days, and you get one of the 31 types of happiness each of those 5 days that you're looking for that kind of happiness. Because if you don't, 31 can sound like a lot. It's kind of like when you go to the ice cream store and you're like, which flavor do I go for? It can sound like a lot. So you kind of have to get in the habit of it, because some of the ones that we do are like relief, one common type of happiness that you think about as happy. But let's say you are somebody who had cancer 7 years ago, and you go to the doctor for your 7-year piece that you're in remission. You're out doing cartwheels if you get that, all clear. You're like, yay! Or just even less. I mean, one time I had to have a biopsy from a mammogram, and just those days waiting to get the results back. You have that uncertainty cloud following you, and it's certainly what we call in society world a happiness zapper. Well, it's following you. So when you get that call that says you're all clear, you're like, yay! You can look at your stats and go, well, statistically speaking, I'm probably fine. But until you get the final, yes, you just don't know. So release the type of happiness. But another example, I don't know if it's better, but I mean, if you have a garage, it probably gets cluttered from time to time, or a closet sitting around going, unless you have OCD, and if you do, you probably don't let it get cluttery in the first place. So if so nobody ever sits down and goes, I'm going to have my garage cleaning Saturday and it's going to be so fun. You don't think that. But once it's done, think how happy you are. You're satisfied stuff was done, where it belonged. You probably donated some stuff, so you got a sense of giving. And so therefore you just experienced 3 types of happiness from probably cleaning out your garage or a closet. So a lot of times happiness, it's just bigger than we think. And it's just retrained to look at it a little bit different. I mean, we have all had work projects that were like, I don't want to do that. And then when it's done, we're relieved it's done. I mean, and then maybe we even have more fun doing it than we thought we would have, but like, we're just relieved it's done. And so like, that's a type of happiness and don't think of. And so a lot of times people, are surprised at how many of those little moments happen. during the course of, their day.
Yeah,
Right.
no, it's true.
Well, I know, Molly, on our last episode, we touched on it because I was still in contact with you, Pamela. We were working everything out. But we mentioned, finding the little things in your day and reformulating your brain to focus on those good things and realizing that you may be happier than you think, but you have to see that. And I love that.
Than you think or admit.
Right. And I love that, that's one of your messages, focus on the positive, focus on the happy, and take notice of that and not all the negative,
Well,
right.
Well, one thing we do have on our website, if you go there right now, if you can sign up for the happiness counter that you can print off. It's got all 31 types of happiness on there. So if you just want to do that yourself, go to the website at sohp.com. It's on the homepage. But one of the things in society is where we're a little different than some places. We do recognize happiness. In my new book that's coming out in January, Practical Happiness, one of the 4 principles to improve your life is recognizing that happiness zappers are manageable. And we divide them into 5 categories. But I think sometimes in this world of trying to make sure we stay positive, I read a story from the LA Times about toxic positivity. So sometimes people feel forced to be positive. That actually doesn't make you feel happier. Sometimes it's recognize, like I had a day this week that just was not in flow. That's how I would say it. I wouldn't say bad things were happening, but things were not happening at certain times. And I'm trying to readjust my schedule. And I was messaging my DM, like, my day is not going in flow. So, you know what? I'm like, okay, I don't have what I need to do my next thing. So I just was like, you know what? I'm going to go take a walk.
Yeah.
Like I just put my shoes on and I just walked around for like 10 minutes, took in some deep breaths to try to kind of manage that zapper because I was a little frustrated that I was feeling a little stressed because I'm on some deadlines and I'm like, and I need this to do this. It's just not coming. So what happens? But you can, if I was living in Louisiana right now and a hurricane's barreling towards, possibly towards me, and it's so bad they weren't even able to evacuate the hospital of their COVID patients, which is packed full, I would be feeling a little stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just, and you should be. And that's about being proactive to manage that stress. Like, have you boarded up the best you can? Do you have supplies? Can you evacuate if you can, if you need to? And that's sort of how we manage some of those big stressors. But it's important to, I think, acknowledge them because a lot of times people don't want to acknowledge them. But the more you acknowledge them and the more you move into that, oh, how am I going to manage this? And you just go to that mindset. How do I manage it? The quicker you find your happiness versus when you just go, a guy I see, actually, we were watching a show, but I forget who said it. Some character said it, but basically it says when a woman says she's fine, she's not fine. Yes. It's code for not fine. One of the characters said. Fine. And so a lot of times people feel forced to feel fine, but they're maybe not. But you find fine faster, if you're managing the zapper. And sometimes that means you're just trying to feel a little bit better than you did the moment before. Maybe you're not doing cartwheel happy, but maybe you can just find a moment you feel blessed, or you find something funny. Sometimes I know I live a blessed life, but when I was in that day, I was not feeling blessed. I mean, my head knew it, but my heart was more into like, there's a big huge rock in the middle of my river here. It's not budgeting. and I needed to move around that. So, so the flow, there's those pieces. So that's an equally important part of feeling authentically happy is to recognize when you have that Ben and Jerry's moment, or to recognize, when you're dealing with somebody who's, who's terminal, or you have a terminal pet. I mean, probably once when my dog was in what I call his hospice phase, it was, did I have happy moments? Of course I did. I mean, he had a parade of people coming to see him because the neighborhood all knew him. And so he was just very popular. And I was like, this is kind of interesting. People were calling me, I want to come see Tater. And I was like, okay. So did I have, and I felt love and support from all my friends. And so did I have some happiness? Of course. But was it bigger than the sadness? No, but it also was still there. It's nice, those little moments when I felt better. And sometimes, again, it's just training ourselves to think that way.
And it's funny because, Molly, I'll let you finish up in 1 second, but it just brings me back to the conversation that you and I had on a previous episode of it's okay to feel those feelings and it's okay to be in that moment. Just don't live there.
Right.
Focus on digging yourself out of that negative mind
Exactly.
space and, count you're happy.
Well, and I like how you explained it, how it's like, no, it's not turning out how I want it to, but what do I have and how can I work with it? Especially like the hurricane. No, it is stressful, but my windows are boarded. I'm able to get out. Like, you got to focus on things like that. And I really like that explanation. So one question that I do have is, so a lot of people are like pursuing happiness, but yet not getting it. So like, how can that be changed?
I'm just going to recap that because you froze for a second. But I think you said that people pursue being happy, but they're not getting there.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They're happy. Like, people are the unhappiest they've ever been. And I think it's because of the pandemic. So how do you change that?
Well, actually, this was being reported, but it wasn't really the hype prior to the pandemic. Probably about 6 months prior, if you looked at mental health surveys, people were starting to trend down, and they were kind of saying people are unhappier than they've ever been despite the robust economy. And people were feeling some people were surprised by that because they sometimes link economics to happiness, and that's not always. Actually, if I had to give somebody one piece of advice about being happy, if you could pick one thing to work on, I would say make sure you have at least 3 or 4 really tight relationships. So those could be with your family, or they could be with your friend family, or they could be with your significant other or your kids. But your relationships with people is probably the biggest contributing factor to long-term happiness. Harvard did a study that showed that recently, and they interviewed people from 70 years ago on. So these are some of the people in their 80s that were talking about relationships, but it helps with pain. It helps with just so many things. So then when the pandemic arrived, what happened? People lost a lot of their relationship network. And even people, I have some friends who are in great marriages, but even if you adore your spouse, we don't really live in a world like where, 100 people went from the East Coast to the West Coast and they got their 1,000 acres, and then they maybe went into a city once a month, once a week. Otherwise, they only saw their spouse and their kids or whoever came out with them on the wagon. We don't live like that anymore. People have jobs. They go to their job. They go to their other activities, dinner together with our families, and we chit chat and share our days. And then we're trying to carve out time to binge watch something. But I mean, we have that. So if all of a sudden you went into 3 and 4 months and 6 months, just depending on where you lived, it was different. Of just 24/7 with your spouse, or no one. If you were single, it could have been no one.
Right.
That was not always good for somebody's mental health, and God bless the parents who had teenagers. I know if I had to spend 30 straight months with my
it would be so
parents when I was 14, I would have been going, I don't like you. You already don't like them because you're 14 and you're not supposed to, because they're giving you boundaries, and you're like, yeah, but I want to go fly my little wings. That's normal. Like, sometimes my friends will say, my daughter doesn't like me. I'm like, great. You're doing a great job. That means you're parenting and setting up. She's probably not supposed to like you. She'll like you again. we'll just
Right,
take a little
why not?
time. So we went through that, and that was hard. That was difficult on families. And while Zoom happy hour is great, it doesn't replace some of that in-person time at work that we would have. And that's, we have a lot of our friends or relationships as we get more mature. In fact, work best friends keep people at the same company, you know, so, you know, companies that invest in those things where people develop relationships with each other keep their workforce a little bit longer, because people don't want to usually leave their best friend hunting. Usually it's one of those pieces, but that all sort of changed. Now, I did have one of my members who sent me a note during that time. She was like, I didn't realize how many things I was doing that I didn't like. And fortunately, my husband and I have realized we really do like each other a lot. You know, I mean, so I think now we're at this fork where we have people doing a lot of reevaluation, and they're trying to figure out what their priorities are, and probably who their priorities are. We all probably had some friends that maybe we found out wasn't as friendly as we thought. or, you know, maybe we're like, really don't like that so-and-so can't speak without saying whatever it is that they say. That, in fact, I was actually listening to a podcast, not really a podcast, it was an announcement thing of somebody today. Oh my stars, you're cursing so much I can't even hear the sentence. I mean, they were kind of known for dropping the F-bomb, which is fine, but I'm like, you're dropping it so much, I'm having to, it's like every other word of the sentence. Yeah, right. And I'm like, I think I'm just going to read the post on this because I mean, that's not my happy, again, a little bit's fine. I do that myself. And somebody pointing that out for me lately. I'm like, okay, I really have got to clean up my mouth before I'm doing a lot of podcasts for my book, Practical Happiness. But but like I said, this was like section, so you're like reevaluating, and I'm pretty sure this is more than usual. But like I said, so people are doing that, and I think that there's going to be some more pain that comes out of that. So I think we're going to be in kind of a rekindling of the positive emotion inspiration markets, because people are trying to go, oh, wait a minute, I was wearing 4-inch stilettos, and you know, I discovered that those hurt my feet actually, and now I'm trying to find the right shoe, and it may take a while for somebody to figure out what that is. Like, yeah, I had to start practicing wearing shoes again, like go to a training, because I was like, I put some shoes on and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been barefoot for a year and a half. No, I'm not used to wearing any heels. And it's true. I'm short. I look a little better in a heel.
Right. I know one of our first shows, we were like, because we haven't worn makeup in like forever. And I was like, I don't even know if I remember how to do this, because I haven't done it in a year and a half. Do they match? Do my eyes match? Do I have anything on my face? Like,
we were actually in the office today. Molly went in and
I mean, like,
sorry, go ahead, Pamela.
Yeah,
I said we have our yoga pants and putting on real clothes.
Yes, like I've realized how much I love sweatpants and flip flops in the past year and a half. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious if our going back office attire even drops another degree of business casual.
I really hope so.
Right.
I got rid of all of my slacks, so
yeah. Yep. Real quick, I want to say hello to some of our viewers. They're throwing up comments. Chanel, I hope I said your name right. M. Fletcher, hello. Thank you for watching. Reese, I'm surprised you did not say hello from the banishment room. That is my wife. I kick her out of our living room, away from my office and into the bedroom. So, Charles Reed, that's Molly's fiance.
He's banished to the couch.
Val says hi, Reese, but didn't say hi to us. Hi, Val. Reese says, who doesn't like being happy?
It's
Absolutely. You know, happiness is great. Sandy Griffin, good evening, ladies. Good evening, Sandy. Thank you for watching. And then Reese, when we were talking about, you know, reevaluating in the time of the pandemic and how crazy it is, that I had to get my dad a dog. He got really lonely over the last year and it took a toll on his mental state. He's much better now that he has a friend. It's amazing how much it helped.
I was gonna say, Reese, it's scientific studies show that people who live alone, and especially the older someone is, if they have a pet, it definitely improves their mental health.
Yeah, and he lives closer to Molly than he does to me. He's only, you know, 5 minutes from her, but about 20 from me. And he would call and just say, hey, I need your help. Can you come help me with something? And we'd get there and he's like, oh, I did it, but I'm lonely, you know. And a couple of days after Reese and I got married, he had a heart attack, his 4th heart attack, and then triple bypass surgery. So he's very compromised and we didn't want to put him at more risk. So we felt really bad, but then we were able to get him a puppy and now we don't even exist. He's living his fullest life and he is happy and he is loving every minute of it. So,
and that dog is the cutest dog ever. And they match so well together.
They do. He has found his happiness for sure. But
no, like I said, studies show that it's a great way. I mean, it's good for anybody, but particularly in the senior population. And that's prior to the pandemic. It really gives purpose. Is sort of the piece. Like there's somebody that they're responsible for and that loves them and that they get to love, which love is a type of happiness. And so, yeah, pets have been, you know, they're real lifesavers.
Yeah. And honestly, you know, he's a vet and I don't know if anything is officially diagnosed, but I'm sure he's seen so much that affects his mental health. And then he retired during the pandemic and he didn't see anybody but his neighbor. And, you know, his baby, my wife is 37. So he's very lonely. And
not anymore. He has his dog.
Yeah, no, like we don't exist anymore. Him and Reggie are thick as thieves, and you're exactly right, Pamela. It gave him purpose. He has something to focus on and love and take care of, and you know that was what kind of brought him back to life.
Yeah,
in this whole crazy time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason there's so much pet therapy, and PTSD. People have PTSD or dogs. You know, there's just so many things that go into, you know, into that piece of it. So, do y'all have dogs?
Yes.
Go ahead, Molly.
I know. I feel like there's a storm happening and I can hear it. And I feel like it's like interrupting my internet and I'm like freezing. You and Pamela are freezing too. So it's great.
Yeah, we've had clouds here all day. Y'all are probably getting what we had earlier.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But real quick, we do have to take a commercial break. We have to pump up that WLFE-DB radio network. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll be back to continue talking with Pamela because I'm having a blast. I don't know about you two, but this has made my entire week. So,
well, and I want to talk more about her book too. So let's do that next.
Yes,
so fun.
Absolutely. We need more info about that book. So stay tuned, everybody. Sit tight. We will be right back.
WLFE Digital Network is now on digital television. If you're into ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs, and the creepy, then WLFE has a TV channel for you, Paranormal View. Watch all of your favorite WLFE video talk shows on one channel. Shows like Paratalk Radio, Step Into the Paranormal, Skeptical Help Bar, The Creepy Parlor, and more. Looking for something else? Do you support the LGBTQ plus community? WLFE has brought all of their LGBTQ shows like Inside the Drag Closet, Everything Yet Nothing, Across the Pond, and Rainbow Soul all into one place. A new TV channel called LGBTQ Friends. The third channel is a Variety Unlimited. Here you'll find a wide variety of talk shows you know and love, like Just Cindy, Card Pulls and Coffee, Real Talk with Dom, The Bipolar DMs, Meet the Author, and Movie Review 5. The best part of watching these shows is that they're all available to watch at one location, one website, WLFE-DB.com.
You are listening to WLFE-DBradio.com, where our shows are your shows.
Listen to the WLFE-DB podcast, available on Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Check out shows like Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and Step Into the Paranormal. Now, on to your favorite podcast app.
This is Dominic Santasero with Real Talk with Dom. You are listening to WLFE-DBradio.com, where our shows are your shows.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com. You're listening to WLFE-DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
Hello, welcome back. Yeah, you'll have to forgive. We seem to be having a little bit of technical issues. It's storming where we are, where Molly and I are, so that's probably why. I don't know when we moved to the Midwest and Tornado Alley, but it's rumbling here, so crazy. Real quick before we jump back in with Pamela, because she has so much more to talk about, I have a few quick shout outs to make. Lacrosse, thank you so much for watching. They're part of the WLFE family, so thank you for joining in. And this is a very, very, very special shout out. Andrea Jones is my mother-in-law, and this is the first episode that she's watching. So thank you for tuning in. Love you. We miss you, but thank you for watching. So, all right. So for those of you who don't know Pamela, we have been talking about happiness all evening.
Yes.
And
she's the
Molly,
founder of Society of Happy People.
Yes. I'm gonna pop this.
Yeah.
Society of Happy People. So, Molly, before we went to break, you said you want to know more about her book, and as do I. And where we can find it. So when it comes out.
Well, it's because it's coming out January 4th of 2022.
Yes.
Right. So, and it's a book about happiness. So what makes this different from any other book about happiness?
I know there's a few out there, right? I think this is based on practical. It's called Practical Happiness, and the subtitle is 4 Principles to Improve Your Life. So we kind of are working with a reporter 20 years, asked me at our thing what I learned about happiness. And so I went and did a lot of digging and research, and it kind of kept coming up to the same 4 consistent principles, which was happiness is personal. And I think while some people go, duh, there's also this other piece about it that sometimes if something makes us happy, you're an iPhone person, and you see your Android person, you're spending a ton of time trying to talk your Android friend into doing the iPhone because it makes you happy, but maybe the Android makes them equally happy. We forget that. And I'm using that as a simple explanation, but there's a lot of happiness science out there. And I think science is great. I think your mindset is the first foundation for living a happy life. And I tell a story of, and this is one of the stories in the book, but one of my friends was in the middle of a lot of what I would just call the happiness appers that are under the category of unhappiness. She was in talks with her husband about a divorce, which eventually happened. She was dealing with parental caretaking issues. She got displaced at work. A friend had died. She was dealing with some health issues, and it's all happening at the same time. Eventually, of course, it's all going to work out. But in some manner, maybe not how you want, in some manner. But when you're in the height of that stress cyclone, it's not helping. So she was doing some dog sitting for me for my high maintenance dog when I traveled. And I would say to her, so I was telling her, I'm like, I love essential oil. So I'm like, I have some lavender, which is known to help with stress. I mean, I know it's rid of the actual cause of the stress, but maybe you should diffuse it while you're here. It might help you feel better, or you could put it on your wrists. So for first couple of times, she's like slightly turning me down. And then finally on the third time, she goes, okay, the smell of lavender makes me want to throw up. So I just started laughing out loud really hard because, the reality is, even though scientifically speaking, the smell of lavender reduces stress in most people's bodies, if it's making her want to throw up, it's just creating another stress.
Right.
It's adding another stressor on top of her already stressed life. So sometimes science, doesn't work for us because that's where the happiness is personal, comes in. So absolutely. I think that's what you always have to reevaluate. Yeah. Have you guys had something that, I mean, do y'all have different things? Y'all are obviously great friends. Do you have different things that make you happy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think we were talking about this. Like, we like to do at the end of our show of like something that we're proud of or something that makes us happy. One of my favorite things to do is to either like read books or the movies. I love going to the movies and the popcorn. Also, spending time with my significant other makes me happy. Yeah. There's so much.
And during this, crazy time that we're in right now, I used to be such a people person. I had, so many friends, and I was a busybody. And as I've gotten older, and then especially during this time, my circle has gotten very small, and I've realized how much I love my 4 walls and my dog.
Right.
Like that makes me so happy. So if I am stressed out at work, or I'm just having a bad day, and, as you said, those zappers, they're just coming at me left and right, I will get up from my desk and my dog is asleep on the couch, and I will go annoy him for 5 minutes and kiss him and love him. And, that just makes me happy. And it's one of my favorite things to do. And I know he gets annoyed because he's very vocal, and he'll bark his head off until I leave him alone. But I'm sorry, Bubby, that makes me happy. You're just going to have to deal with mommy love. I'm sorry. But
I know.
Here's a treat.
Yeah. And he's right, exactly.
So happiness is personal. And everyone's is a little different. And then we talked a little bit about happiness zappers or multiple too, and we divide those into 5 categories. So the first one's unhappiness. That usually deals with grief to some degree, so some kind of loss. Right. So that obviously death is an obvious loss of a person or pet or something, but it can also be, if you guys I'm sure we've all had girlfriends that we don't have estrangement from. And so sometimes you mourn that loss. It can be the loss of a job if you got laid off. It could be that you got stuck in the pandemic, and, God bless the extroverts, because that was hard for them, because for people who are used to big circles of friends.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden be like, no, don't hug me. No. Oh, put you 6 feet away. That's hard for them. I mean, that was a lot, kind of a loss. So like I said, maybe it's a health thing. All of a sudden your doctor's like, no, you can't eat XYZ ever again, because if you do, your brain's gonna explode and you're gonna die. Right. And you're like, still really want to eat that. Right. Even though I know you're telling me the consequences aren't good. So you still have to go through a grieving process. So that's unhappiness. And then we have stress, because we're all going to have stress. There's even good stress, and that's just something you're going to have to figure out what your management tools is. Like mine might be yoga, somebody else's might be going to run, somebody else's might be kickboxing, somebody might be just listening to their favorite song. I love breath work. I'm a big fan of that for stress. Then we have chaos. And so chaos is usually kind of like the day I woke up and I wasn't in flow. It was just things weren't moving the way I wanted them to do. So they were creating problems for other things. And which is also a stressor, but it was again, very temporary. It was going to go away. Fear is one of those things that paralyzes us oftentimes, and that creates, a happiness zapper, because we're afraid to try something. Like we don't apply for a new job, or we don't go talk to somebody, or we don't try something new, or we're annoyed with our lights. Just kidding. We're afraid of how we're looking on our audio world.
No, for real. Yeah.
Fear, whatever our fears are, we all have. And the final one is then what I just call annoyances. And this one's probably the easiest to manage, because I just have a simple rule for that, which is, if you won't remember this a year from now, go ahead and let it go now. Because we so often let little things, like the cashiers didn't treat us the way we thought they should, or you guys tell me a little about what you guys do. So somebody's on the phone talking to them and they didn't feel like they communicated with them the way they should have been communicated with. I'm sure y'all deal with that all the time. And whatever it is, but if they not remember that conversation in 6, 12, they're not even going to probably remember it next week. But sometimes they'll go tell that story 50 times, and they just keep it going on and on and on. So like I said, if it's an annoying, traffic, a lot of times people get really mad about traffic, and they're probably really mad that they left late, but it can be a problem. I mean, it can still be an annoyance, but again, next week, you're probably not going to remember that traffic jam, because you'll have a new one.
Right.
Let it go. So that's the second principle. The third, and you sort of, Cassie, addressed this, happiness changes as you change. So all experienced this prolonged pandemic. I mean, I think the first month we were kind of in stay-at-home mode. We're like, okay, I'm just going to binge watch my Hallmark movies or whatever things it is. And we're going to get through this 30 days and life will go back to totally like normal. Like it'll be perfect like it was. Year and a half later, we're like, wow, I am an extrovert, but maybe I do like my 4 walls better. Or maybe I do like that puppy love more than I thought I did. So, and I would argue we're still figuring out what that is for us and for society and for culture. And I think people are going to be probably spending a little more time working themselves in an introverted phase. But I also think people are wanting to still go out and see people and have dinner parties, but we may not maybe host 100 people, but we'll host 10. So maybe we're moving to a more smaller, intimate piece, just so then the hostess gets to really see everybody.
Right.
I mean, that's not necessarily they don't, but they want to actually have a conversation, because they're saying, hey, I missed that. So we don't know what that's going to look like. We know our work environment's changing. We don't know, we can all speculate, but we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I was telling you guys that we had that survey that, that poll I just put on my LinkedIn, and I'm surprised. Most people are wanting to be where they can go to both. Like when they want their people time, they're wanting to go there. But if they have a child that's homesick, or they're dealing with parental caretaking, like needing to take somebody to a doctor, they want to have the flexibility to say, hey, I want to work from home and not take a vacation day to do this, because I can
Right.
still get my job done.
Right.
With our age, usually when we're 22 and we finish college, we go get that first job, we still are where we can get by on like 4 hours of sleep. And eventually,
Right.
that changes. We're like, yeah, I really do want to get 7 hours of sleep. So yeah, I really do have
8 would be nice.
to be home by midnight. Okay, and the glass slipper comes off, like I said, it just, like I said, it changes. And sometimes we find ourselves looking for our present happiness and past happiness.
Mhm.
We think going to the big 100,000 person concert that made us happy again when we were 24 is going to make us happy when we're 44, but it might not. And it might, but it might not. So it's just recognizing those ebbs and flows. I mean, and for me, it seriously depends on the day. If I've had a day of tons of people, the last thing I want to do is be around a ton of people.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm an introvert. I want to go read a book or spend time with somebody I just really care about or can have a conversation with. I'm not wanting to go listen to loud
Right.
surroundings. If I've been cooped up for 2 days, I'm like, yeah, I want to go sit in my local bar and sit there and have wine, whatever's on TV, and have what I just kind of call a BS conversation with whoever's sitting there, and about nothing, about nothing, but just social. And then our fourth principle is happiness is bigger than you think. That gets the 31 types of happiness, and just getting into that habit of recognizing those things. And so our book is very much philosophically based, and it's not necessarily going to say, oh, go try to do these X number of things, or here's a bunch of scientific research that says if you're doing this is maybe. It's in fact, it's kind of really it's more of a, how do you get into a happiness mindset? And then you can apply those other things out there. Obviously, learning something new or trying something new is one of the ways people, that sparks happiness.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, all place. This one's just a little different because it focuses a little more on mindset. And I interviewed like 50 something people for it. So it's just filled with lots of stories.
I really like the part where you said, like, it was almost like, don't chase your happiness. So don't live in the past. Things that made you happy when you were 22 don't necessarily make you happy. And I have totally experienced that this year, where things that used to make me happy don't anymore. And I found myself trying to go to those happy places, and then I did, and was like totally unfulfilled and not happy by them. And so then you're trying to find like new things that make you happy. And it's a fun journey, but it can be challenging too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, especially when you're needing that happy booster, and you're like, oh, this used to make me happy, but not so much, now, because it's a little frustrating. You're like, what's next? But I think when you realize you're on that change journey, if that's your mindset, you're on your happiness change journey, then it makes it a little easier because you're acknowledging where you are in the process. And I know, Kathy, I think I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just, agreeing with Molly. It's absolutely, as we change and as we grow and find new things that make us happy, you're always, well, what if I do this? That used to make me happy. And then, like Molly said, you do that. And you're like, this isn't my happy place anymore. Yeah. So let's continue to grow and change our happiness to be now, not what used to be.
Well, and I think
exactly. And our culture's changing. I mean, we can't. At this point in the pandemic, we can't. Again, we're gonna forever be changed. Like, I know for me, somebody was saying, and again, I'm part of the Texas culture to some degree, so they're viewing the pandemic a little different than other parts of the country. And some people go, well, it's kind of like the flu. And I'm like, yeah, but see, now that I know we had fewer flu deaths because very small this year, I'm like, if I was feeling bad, I'm probably going to forever wear a mask into a grocery store or something, because why would I want to expose some? I mean, we all know when our glands are swollen. I saw the initial things that news agencies were doing, talking about how our spit goes out, how far out it goes out, and I was mortified. I'm like, oh my stars, I am French kissing so many people that I don't want to. I will forever keep a mask in my purse in case I decide, like, wow, I don't want your spit on me, because I can tell. I know you're across
it's so true.
the table, but I know it's coming over here because our those videos. We're just gonna forever see germs different. And I mean, somebody might not want to be French kissing me, but like I said, if I'm ever thinking I might have the flu or something bad, I mean, why wouldn't I stick a mask on to run and pick up what I needed at the grocery store? If I, if I have something contagious, I don't want to give it to somebody. I mean, so I think our society will, we may never actively shake hands again. I think we're going to be washing our hands better than we ever have.
Yeah. Yep. And I was never one.
I mean, these are just the ones I can think. At 11, nobody would have dreamed of taking their shoes off.
Right.
The what?
Say I was never.
Yeah, like prior to 9/11.
I know.
Sorry, we have a delay, Pamela. I'm so sorry.
No. We keep. I know. We keep going next.
I was just saying, I was never one of those people that carried sanitizer in my purse. Of course, if I were at, the hospital or, the grocery store and it was there, of course I would use it. But now I have sanitizer with me at all times, and I'll use it, when I touch a cart before I wipe it off, and, that type of thing. But that gives me peace of mind. And in my opinion, that's happiness for me, because I know I'm doing something good for myself and for others. So it's something little. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. No, it falls in the category of, if you guys giving, you're giving, you're being responsible. Honorable is the type of happiness. Sometimes you're just doing the honorable thing because you're doing what's right. Like I said, exactly. I probably didn't carry sanitizer with me all the time, but now I have a whole drawer full of it, and I just, keep it in my purse at all times, and in case I ever need to wash my hands. And like I said, we're going to view germs different, and the kids who are growing up with this, they'll carry that with them. What will that look like? I don't know. I think we're too, we're too early to say, oh, this is what's going to always look. This is what it's going to always look like. But I think it's gone on long enough that, like I said, I think you're going to forever see people wearing masks like they did in Asia, or have in Asia for years. I think we're going to see that. I think you're going to see, like I said, because I will if I'm feeling sick. So somebody said, like I said, on the flu people, they're like, whoa, we didn't care. And I'm like, well, I think maybe we just didn't know. Like, if we had known, why, I heard a school teacher say last year that she's like, we had no strep throat. We had no, what's the other big kid disease? But anyway, she was basically saying, like, they had none of that going on in the school this year. I mean, because the kids were wearing masks, and, less. And they're kids, so I'm sure they're a little touchy, but less touchy because they were probably washing their hands a lot. Right. I know my friend parents, they're like, and here's the sink, and we wash our hands and count to 20. Right. They were just growing up with different hygiene. Yeah. Whereas, when I grew up, we eat dirt, and nobody cared. Like, that's just dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. You dropped that on the ground? Put it in your mouth. Eat it.
5-second rule.
Like, you dropped it, no big sneeze on you. Just get a tissue and wipe it off your face. I mean, we just grew up, whereas now I'll be like, I was choking on something the other day. I was walking, I was wearing my mask, but I was choking on something, and I was like, and people were looking at me because I'm like, and I wanted to say, I forgot to bring a bottle of water, and I'm actually just choking on something I just ate. Right. I'm like, really, I'm healthy.
Right. I know.
But that's going to be the next place when you see somebody hacking. Mm-hmm. Like at work, people would, I mean, how many times do people go to work? They're always a sick day. But now if you went to work and you were hacking, you're going to get bullied out, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because your coworkers are going to be looking at you like, you're like, but it's allergies.
Right.
That's the look your coworkers hamburgers any good to you? Like, okay, it may be allergies. I don't want to find out. So go home, but again, that's where the workplace is just going to change where that person works from home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I know, like I said, I used to go into an office sometimes and people would I'm looking at them. I'm like, thank you for bringing whatever cooties you had into our office for all of us to get. And you're like, you really had to come in today? Cause like, you're like, you can tell you're running fever. Right. You can tell you're contagious. We actually have sick time for that. Use it.
Right.
But again, I think that's going to change. Yeah. Like I think your HR person's going to say, or your manager's going to walk in and say, yeah, you need to go and work. If you want to work from home, but you're not exposed.
No,
we're just not going to. I think those things will have forever, or at least they have changed enough that I suspect that they will forever change because we create a new habit.
Right.
Yep. Well, Pamela, it unfortunately is 9:00 already, so that is our dinner bell. We are done for the evening. But before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask, your book is coming out in January. Where can we find it? Where can the viewers?
Well, if you go to sohp.com, you can do a pre-order now, and I have not established our pre-order gift, but there will be one. So there's a list for you to sign up, and we will get you some pre-order gifts if anybody wants to pre-order now, and then it'll be in January 4th. It'll be out. But visit sohp.com and sign up for stuff, and we're going to be talking more and more about the book as the year goes on, and who knows, y'all might invite me back.
Absolutely. I was going to say, when the time gets closer, or shortly after, I'm sure you'll be crazy busy with all of your book. You said you were doing more podcasts and promotions and things like that, but I've thoroughly enjoyed myself this evening.
Absolutely.
And we would love to have you back in the future. This was a blast, and I can't say thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for joining us tonight.
Thank y'all.
It meant the world
your audience for being there. Thanks for making the world happier.
Yes.
Well, thank you too for making the world happier.
Yes.
But everybody, we're going to skip our happiness mantra of the evening because we talked about it all night long. We made a whole episode out of it. But we will see everybody next Friday at 8 p.m. Just make sure you don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Find us on all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And then you can also listen where podcasts are found. You can check us out on WLFE-DB.com, their Facebook and their LGBTQIA+ friends page. And also, questions, comments, or show ideas, feel free to shoot them over to us, modernfemme-ily@gmail.com. And check out Pamela. I've had her social media scrolling all evening, so you can check her out there, and her website, sohp.com. Don't forget to pre-order that book. I know I'm going to.
I'm on my way. You said free gift. I'm there. I mean, you had me at the book, but then you said free gift. I'm like, oh, I'm running.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Right.
But everybody, again, Pamela, thank you so much for joining. We will definitely have to have you back in the future. But for tonight, we're going to say good night, everybody.